Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and it's team news time as we look ahead to Game Week 23 deadline. As ever, I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout editor Neale. Neale, welcome. How are you?
That's about you, yeah. How are you?
Yep, good. Fine fettle. I made a rare sort of midweek transfer this week with getting Gakpo in for Jackson. Bit of a no-brainer, that one, really.
Yeah, very much.
And apparently today I celebrate my 14th birthday of doing content for Fantasy Football Scout. Come a long way from writing about Stefan Sessegnon at Sunderland back in 2010 or so, 2011, whenever it was. But yeah,
Maybe you'll learn some of our viewers at anniversary.
it is. Well, yes. So welcome those who are younger than my article about Stefan Sessegnon. Welcome to those early birds joining us in the live chat. Anders Sonny, Marco, Rodrev, J77 Lag, and many more. Okay, let's have a look at the fixtures. We'll start off with Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest. I'll just press the button now. What is the latest from Bournemouth?
Yeah, they might have one player back from the very lengthy injury list, and that is Marcus Tavernier. But even then, Iraola said he wasn't sure how much he could actually use him, and he might be a substitute at best. Otherwise, though, it's as you were. So Evan Nielsen, Unal, Araujo, Senesi, Hill, Smith, Sinistera, and Scott, they're all still injured. And Julio Soler is still at the South American Under-20 Championships.
Okay, rightio. And Nottingham Forest, what shape are they in as they prepare to meet Bournemouth?
Yeah, they've been in pretty good shape for quite a while. I mean, the only red flag is Sangaria, who's been out for a long time. Hudson-Odoi is a concern, though. He came off against Southampton with a groin injury. Felt very tight, according to Nuno, and he was in a lot of pain. And he's had a couple of days out since, so they're going to assess him to see if he's available or not.
Okay, right, yeah, we're going to move swiftly on to my team Brighton against Everton. I still have nightmares about Everton thrashing Brighton once recently. But what state are Brighton in? It's usually quite a lengthy one with their team. But yeah, what's the state of Brighton at the moment?
It is lengthy, yes. Two fresh-ish concerns. I say fresh-ish because O'Reilly was already out last weekend, but we didn't know about that going into it.
No.
It's a knee injury. Just has pain, really. So I think it's too bad. They're going to see if he can overcome that. Lewis Dunk is a new concern. He's got a small muscle problem. So we're going to have to wait and see if he can recover from that. They should get Gruder back, though, from a small issue, as it was called by Hertzler. And Hinchelwood, who's been back in training for a little while, they were optimistic about him being available too. One new red flag, and that's Jason Steele, who's out for, I think, a month or so with shoulder surgery. Milner, Kadioglu, Ferguson, Ego, I think all still out as well. I don't think we got an update on Weaver, but Hertzler said last week that he'd be back soon, so I'll have a look into that one.
Meanwhile, for Everton, I think I put Dwight McNeil on the he's out, but he could be back soon list last week. But yeah, what is the latest with him at Everton?
You might be shifting him to the long-term absentees list very soon because he tried to return to training, I think, today, and he's still got problems.
Okay.
So Moyes said this afternoon that he's going to go and see the specialist again. It may be that he needs surgery on this knee issue, so that's obviously not good. Broja's still out, Chamiti and Coleman too. Garner and Irbinum are back though in training. Garner's at the front of the queue in terms of match fitness. He's been back in training a bit longer, so those are the next two. Cabs off the rank.
Okay, right, yeah, let's move on to Liverpool against Ipswich. Always some news at Liverpool at the moment. I hope Gakpo's fit because I've got him in. But I assume he is. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. But what else is going on at Liverpool ahead of this?
Yeah, there's nothing major, I don't think, from this morning's presser. Gomez and Jota, of course, they're still out, as we thought, for weeks yet, I think Slot said when he faced the media on Monday it was. The new addition to that injury list is Curtis Jones, so he felt discomfort in the win over Lille. They come off at half time, and now he's out of game week 23. I'm not sure yet how long that'll be, but definitely out of this one. That's it pretty much in terms of injuries. Slot did comment on Canate's fitness because he himself said this week. I know some people might be looking at him as a cheap route to the Liverpool defence. Canate said himself this week that he's playing through pain in his knee. But there is a long quote from Slot on Canate. The nutshell is that Slot saying they are taking care of him, but he's now at a moment where he would or should be able to play 3 times a week. So it's
Okay.
hopefully positive news.
Okay, right, yeah. Meanwhile, latest from Ipswich.
Yeah, one of the four from yesterday. Ogbene, Schmodics, and Chapman, they're still out. Phillips is available again. He couldn't play against Man City. And they will have Julio Enciso from your lot available for selection after his loan move was confirmed this week. McKenna did say he hasn't trained that much, so might be from the bench at first.
Okay, next fixture Southampton against Newcastle. I guess if this was the reverse fixture, it was at Newcastle, it might not go ahead. You can probably answer that better, being
Yeah.
northeast based. But I understand that Newcastle's flight has been cancelled for the team to go down to Southampton. So I think they might have to go on Saturday, and it's a bit blowy out as well.
It's very blowy, yeah. You might be able to hear it rattling down the old chimney breast there. It's absolutely howling wind. It should be all right by tomorrow. It's just
Yeah.
that, as you say there, Newcastle would have fly down on the eve of the game, which is today, but they're probably not going to be able to do that, and we'll travel tomorrow morning instead. Injury news wise for Newcastle, there could be a return of Nick Pope, who has been out for about a month. He's been in training this week, and House says he's in the mix for the squad. Barnes, Lascelles, and Wilson still out. I think it'll be February for those three. And that's pretty much it. How did say Botman was looking a bit fatigued in the Bournemouth defeat. Took him off at half time. But he has had a decent rest period then. And Fabian Schär is over his illness, hopefully, according to how, after he was a substitute in Game Week 22.
Okay, right, yeah. And as for Southampton, obviously it's less blowy in Southampton.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is it less injured?
Not really, no.
No.
The front two who had been starting in recent weeks and looked actually pretty good. That was Diblin and Sulemana. They're both out. Diblin has got an ankle injury. I've seen estimates of 4 to 6 weeks, but when that was presented to Jewish yesterday, he said that's not necessarily going to be the
Okay.
case. A bit more optimistic. Sulemana is out with hamstring niggles. I think that's just going to be for this week. So those two are red flags. Ramsdale's also a doubt, their first choice goalkeeper. Something in training, I think it was in his torso. Are going to assess him. We think Stevens, Larios, and Stewart are still out. Bazunu's back for the under 21s, but I've just seen this morning that they're probably going to loan him out.
Okay, right, yeah. Before we move on, just a reminder, do press that like button, does help us out. Do leave us a nice review wherever you receive your podcasts, and do subscribe to keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts wherever you receive them. Let's move on to Wolves against Arsenal. What's the latest for Wolves? I keep reading lots of their squad being linked with other teams, but yeah, is that really the latest from Wolves?
Yeah, well, that was the what the reporters led with in the press conference this afternoon. Questions on Lamina and Cunha. Lamina is wanted away by his own admission, and he would be considered for selection until the transfer window is shut. Cunha, who's also been linked with Arsenal and Forest, amongst others, he is available. However, Victor Pereira said he's had a word with him because he was a bit stroppy, I think, on Monday night against Chelsea. Didn't look that interested. But it's all sorted according to Victor Pereira. He's available. He's ready to help the team. On the injury front, Totti Gomez should be back, but probably not ready for 90 minutes. Boubacar Traore is on the grass as well after a long layoff, and he's probably going to get minutes with the under 21s first. That just leaves Kalajic, Mosquera, and Gonzalez out.
Okay, meanwhile for Arsenal, problems in defence continue there, I understand.
Yeah, they had two players absent in midweek, and then a third, it was Calafiori, who was just come back, but he wasn't in the starting 11 after minimal training. The two new problems, Lewis Skelly and Saliba. Saliba missed out last weekend, actually, of course, and Lewis Skelly wasn't risked against whoever they played in midweek. Zagreb, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With Lewis Skelly, Arteta says nothing serious on the scan, so they're going to assess him, see if he can play this weekend. Saliba, he said something similar. He thinks he'll definitely be back next week, and then this week we're going to see how it goes. Now that kind of fits in with the timeline we've heard. It was 2 weeks I've seen estimated for Saliba, so I don't think we'll see him for this one. But the Man City game in Game Week 24, I think that's what they're looking at. Saka is still out, of course. Jesus, Tomiyasu, and Ben White. White is close to returning to training, according to Arteta. And yeah, as I said, Calafiori and Ranieri, they both came back in midweek.
Okay, moving on to Man City hosting Chelsea. Yeah, the latest from Man City from Pep.
Yeah, quite an interesting press conference this because it dealt with the dual topics of injuries and transfers. So injuries first, Doku and Diaz, they're newly red flagged. They're going to miss out against Chelsea. Um, Doku picked up a problem last weekend against Ipswich, and he missed out against PSG. And Diaz came off at half time in that game in France. They're both out. Diaz has got an abductor problem. I don't know what the issue is.
Okay.
No timelines yet for either. Ake is still out as well, according to the Man City site. After missing the Ipswich game, Rodri's out as well. Bob is just back in training. Now, the three new additions this week, Rice, Marmoush, and Kusanov, they are going to be in the squad. As Pep says, we don't have players elsewhere,
Okay.
so they're going to have to be involved. Whether they start or not, he still doesn't know yet. Kusanov's definitely the head of the queue for in defence. He's slightly more experienced, a little bit older.
Yeah.
But the problem with him, according to Pep, is that he doesn't speak much English. We're going to
Okay.
have to solve that issue.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, also, usually with new recruits, no matter how good they are at Man City, even the likes of Jack Grealish, they tend to not start straight away. They tend to be used as subs as he sort of acclimatises them.
Funnily enough, he's actually in the past with centre halves. I remember with
Oh,
Diaz and I
okay.
think Laporte, he threw them straight in. I mean,
Oh,
like we're talking
really?
days
Ah,
after signing
okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, it might be the situation where they are so desperate for centre halves that Kusinov starts, but they have got their options. I mean, Stones is back.
Yeah.
Akanji's fit, and they can play Guardiola centre half, so he might earn the
Okay.
side of caution.
Okay. Meanwhile, for Chelsea, it was more problems in midfield for them. A lot of injuries there. But yeah, what's the latest?
Yes, one bit of bad news on their behalf. Lavia is out and will be for weeks.
Ah.
But the other two who missed out in game week 22, Fernandez and Colwell, they are probably going to return.
Okay.
Reska said that they are, should be available, I think he said. Um, Palmer as well, who played through an ankle issue against Wolves.
Yeah.
Maresca said he's better. If he managed that game, then hopefully he's going to manage this one.
Okay.
Fafana, Badiashile, and Mudrik, they're still out. And that's it, I think, in
Okay.
terms of injuries.
Lavia being out, that does hinder Palmer, I've noticed as well. He tends to play a bit further back, a bit more more of the midfield duties for him there. But of course, it is against his old side. And if the law of score against your own side is true for this one, then he could be getting returns. But yeah, I don't like to see Lavia out as a Palmer owner. Although it doesn't matter being a Palmer owner because he's 100% owned everywhere. So I don't really care what he gets. Let's move on to Crystal Palace against Brentford. What's the latest with Crystal Palace?
Two new additions to the injury list there. Czech Duguri and Chadi Riyadh both suffering knee problems and they're going to be unavailable. They're getting looked at. Ward and Wharton are still out. Frank too. He's back in training, but he needs a lot more training before he is match fit. Lerma is available after illness, and they will have Essie, I think his name is. Not Essie,
Okay.
the new signing from Millwall, who
Okay.
is going to be in the squad.
Okay. And as for Brentford?
Yeah, they've got their own new signing as of today. Michael Coyote is a right back, but he's not going to be able to feature because of international clearance. They will get another right back option back though, and that is Christopher Ayer. He is available and has trained all week.
Okay.
Still missing five: De Silva, Pinnock, Nunez, Thiago, and Aaron Hickey.
Okay, rightio. Let's move on to another team that have got their fair share of injuries this season. Tottenham. They take on Leicester. So yeah, what is the latest from Spurs and their never-ending injury saga?
Yeah, they might be calling on Chaz and Dave and Ozzy Ardila soon because I think it's got even worse actually since last we spoke. They do get Bentancur back after concussion, and he played on Thursday night. But they have how many is that? I'm not going to count them now. 8 red flags
Wow,
and then 3 more yellow flags.
blimey.
So Udogi, Odeber, Johnson, Werner, Solanke, Van der Ven, Romero, Vicario are definitely out. Solanke's out for 6 weeks in case you hadn't seen. Romero and Van der Ven are the next one's back. Romero was in training already, and they're looking at game week 24, I think, for him. On to the doubts. That is Saar, Basuma and Spence, all knocks, according to Ange. Spence is still sore, according to the Spurs boss. Pape is still a doubt. And Basuma, he did talk in terms of getting him back for next Thursday, so maybe he's going to miss out as well.
Okay.
Which just leaves a very few players left. One of whom is Richarlison, of course, who's fit again. And Ange said of his fitness, he's as fit as he could possibly be. And they are managing his minutes, but unless something changes with the transfer situation or injury situation, he has to play. So he's probably going to
Okay.
fill in for Solanke again.
Okay, right, yeah. And as for Leicester,
Yeah, right at the foot of my team news roundup. As no one cares that much. They've got four still out. Fatawu, Ndidi, Pereira, and Hermanson. Ndidi's the next one back. He's going to return to training next week.
okay.
A new signing, Koulibaly. He should be involved against Spurs this week, and he's been in training this week, and all being well, part of the squad on Sunday.
Okay. The Prince William derby, Aston Villa against West Ham. What's the latest from Aston Villa?
Was this the David Cameron derby as well when he claimed to be
Yeah,
supporting one of the
that
Jim
was.
Clark
Yeah, it might have
club?
been him that
Yeah,
I'm referring to. I'm just assuming Prince William's not really that into football either. So, yeah, Cameron just liked the colours and or something,
yeah.
and got them
He,
confused.
he thought he'd go for the popular vote, and it backfired spectacularly.
Yeah.
Yes, in terms of who was at home in this one, it's Aston Villa, isn't it? So I'll go with them
Yes.
first. Yeah, they should have John McGinn back. He's been in training after actually he's been in training for about a week, so I think he's in contention. They've still got three absentees though: Pau, Onana, and Bartley. And West Ham, I'll segue straight into them.
Okay.
Bowen, we could see him
Wow.
back a lot sooner, a lot
Wow.
sooner than we thought. He has trained this week. Potter said they're still going to be careful with him. They're not going to rush him back, but he's absolutely ready. But he's had a couple of sessions, and if it's not this week, it'll probably be next. Somerville, similar boat, although he's been out for a shorter period, a hamstring injury. He's had a couple of sessions this week as well. And again, Potter's just going to make sure that he's 100%. Fulkrug, Antonio, and Todibo, they're all still out.
Yeah.
And Maverick Panos is banned as well for all his red card.
Okay, and final game, Fulham against Manchester United. Latest from Fulham.
Yeah, nice and easy. This one, two out. Kenny Tetier and Reece Nelson, and everyone else is fine.
Okay, that's easy. So Manchester United a little bit more complicated, I imagine.
Yeah, it certainly is. They have three new flagged players as of, I think, yesterday. So Mazraoui was left out of the squad against Rangers as a precaution, apparently with a knock. And then in that game against Rangers, two centre halves came off, Delict and Yoro. Um, Amarim says Yoro had a pain and Delict was a bruise. He also mentioned fatigue for Yoro as well. In terms of possibly getting players back, Lindelof's resumed training this week. Luke Shaw is set to follow suit as well. Although Amarim did say that he'd like him to do 2 weeks of training before he's considered for first team minutes, which I think that just leaves Johnny Evans and Mason Mount out.
Okay, rightio. Let's see if I can round all that up. So Marmouche could be available amongst other Man City recruits that could be available for this game. Benton Kerr should be back for Spurs. Lindelof should be back for Manchester United. And McGinn should be back for Aston Villa. Hudson-Odoi is questionable with groin injury. Ramsdale as well. Injury's going to keep him out. Riley, we don't really know. And Dunk, there was the quote is wait and see. Hinshelwood, fitness problems could keep him out still. Pope may return, may not though. If he's fit enough, he may well do for Newcastle. Sarr and Spence and Basuma are amongst those out, or rather not out, questionable. They could start, might not though. And Colwell and Fernandez, they're questionable, but they could start. They look like they might start more than not. I put Pope in twice. I like him so much for some reason. Somerville and Bowen could make a return. Bowen could make a return, so Danny Dyer will be pleased about that. Yoro and Delit got leg problems, could keep them out. Major doubts: Saliba, hamstring problems. Lewis Kelly, muscle problems, could keep him out. Very likely that they'll be out. Jason Steele's newly red flagged long term. out. So there's a recall for another keeper there at Brighton. Curtis Jones will be out with muscle problems, as will Jota. Diaz, that's not, before you have a panic, not the Liverpool Diaz. That's the Man City defender Diaz. Doku has got muscle problems as well. Keep him out. Solanke's out for 6 weeks with knee problem. Lavia's out, we know, for a few more weeks. Muscle problems. McNeil's knee problems. He might require surgery, so that could be long term. Lamina, he's among want-away players at Wolves. And Mavropanos is suspended for West Ham. I think we got most of them there.
I think that's it, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thanks everyone for joining us, especially those joining us from far-flung places. I see Denmark, Bangladesh and Maidstone mentioned there. So thanks a lot for joining us. Take care. Good luck with all the decisions ahead of Gameweek 23. And we'll see you again next week. See you later, Neale.
See you, everybody. Yeah, bye-bye.